my problem is solely with his job as a run blocker. Let me pull this up.
That's your problem?
That's my problem with that, is with Jason Witten. Tell me a running back that he blocked for that was good.
Ezekiel Elliott.
That doesn't count.
Why? You can't tell me to give you a name and then it doesn't count.
Because that offensive line has been the best offensive line in football for the last 2 years. So that's not Witten. That's the line. And you're telling me Zeke's getting to the edge?
So you're saying that one tight end is going to contribute to the team stats of rushing?
Are there 2 tight ends on the field?
Sometimes.
Not often.
Sometimes. He kept Martellus Bennett on the bench, and he was pretty talented.
Martellus Bennett on the bench.
No, he ended up going to Chicago and did pretty well. Then he went to New England and did RA. Where else did he go? Green Bay, not so much.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, then he retired. So, I mean...
Because he wasn't good.
You don't think Martellus Bennett was good?
No.
Oh, boy. We're about to spiral into another conversation. I'm going to give you an RKO on the hood of my car. One of those two.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
Derek McFadden ran for 1,000 yards. All 3 touchdowns he got.
All Witten. What? I don't know what point you're trying to get with
my
this.
Point is that
intense research.
My point is that DeMarco Murray did have a good season. I'll bend a little bit on the Jason Witten couldn't run block thing.
Wow, how did I miss both of them?
I forgot about DeMarco Murray.
Yes, that was an excellent year.
2 years.
2 years. Yes. Which gave everyone in the league the blueprint. Draft a guy, run him in the ground for 4 years, try to get him cheap.
Yeah, that's it. That's what happened.
Probably. I don't know. I quit.
Sign somewhere. You can't quit.
I quit.
It's not allowed.
I'm done. I'm just going to be your driver. Go sit in the back and start talking.
So you take a look at comparables because now immediately Hall of Fame talk comes into play.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
He was on a lot of fantasy rosters for a decade. Did his job. So of his comparables, looking at guys that also played 10 years, there's really only 2 names. Well, there's 3 names that stand out. For players who also played 10 years, his comparable players are Tony Gonzalez. It's a great comparison. If you want to be compared to a guy, you get compared to Tony Gonzalez at that position. That is the gold standard. Ozzie Newsome.
That's another great one.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy Shockey.
He's got like 3 titles, doesn't he?
Shockey?
Yeah.
He's got
one with the
Giants. He's got one with the Saints.
Yeah. I don't know if he has 2 with the Giants. I'm not sure.
I don't know if he was on the Giants for the second one.
No, he couldn't because it was in the middle. That's why.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was 7, 9.
So Jeremy Shockey.
Okay, 11.
Jeremy Shockey was a great tight end, but he just couldn't stay on the field, man.
He wasn't oft injured, but he was just kind of. He was like the smaller version of Gronk.
Super athletic.
Oh yeah.
Mean.
From
Miami?
Yeah. He got one.
I know. I never played this game good. The smaller version of Gronk. He's 6'5". What are you talking about?
What does he weigh?
253.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Then he was just wow. I thought he always to me I feel like he was smaller than Gronk. He was Gronk.
Basically.
I play 11 games a year. How you doing?
So if you look at Jeremy, I think Jeremy Shockey is the most reasonable comparison, right? So Shockey's not in the Hall. Tony Gonzalez is. So I think looking and comparing Jason Witten to Jeremy Shockey to determine...
I don't.
Why?
I don't.
Believe it or not, for Shockey's career, he only missed 1, 3, 5, 11... He missed less than 20 games in 10 years. Which, now that I look at it, is like shocking to me.
Shocky to you?
Hey, you picked up what I was putting down there.
I would only say this because of I don't remember a lot of instances where Shockey was on the point blocker.
Yeah.
Even though he was,
Mm-hmm.
I would give Witten. Okay, we'll compare. I'm just saying Witten was a far better blocker.
Sure.
Because I don't remember any Giants teams having a 1,000-yard rusher or those Saints teams having. So he was always split or somewhere in an H-back role where he wasn't asked to block. So as far as like being a complete
Was he
tight
there for
end,
the Ricky Williams years, Jeremy Shockey?
no, I think he was drafted by the.
Oh yeah, he was drafted by the Giants.
Was he?
That's right. He was drafted by the Giants.
Okay,
That's right.
he was there with Kurt Warner. He was there.
Yep, he would have been. So, Jeremy Shockey never caught more than 7 touchdown passes in a year. Right? And he only did it twice. Yeah. So from a performance standpoint, not what you want to see. Yeah.
And that's not good when you say the two players you play with were Eli and Breeze.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's no bueno.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So from a touchdown standpoint, Witten gets the edge.
Yes.
Right.
Did Witten ever catch double-digit touchdown?
Witten never caught double-digit touchdowns.
Really? That's shocking.
Got
him.
Touche. You got me on that one.
We're such idiots.
You got me. So, I mean, truthfully speaking, right, Shockey never caught more than 74 passes. And that was his rookie season. Never caught more after that. Never caught more than 7 touchdowns. Never caught more than... Never hit 900 yards. Right?
Never hit 900?
Never hit 900.
Wow.
So, stats for Shockey they don't jump off the page at you, right?
Yeah.
And which is why he's never been talked about with the Hall of Fame. But you're going to have that conversation with Jason Witten. They played the same number of years. But there's a big difference in championships.
Yes, definitely a big number. And it's one of those things where you want to go back. What was their contribution to their team? Now, if you want to talk about Witten's contribution to the Cowboys, he was always a guy that you had to game plan for in that offense because he was going to make 3 or 4 really tough third down catches that was going to keep drives alive for the team. And
he was a stalwart for that team for a decade. That made he did make other coaches' lives hell.
Yeah.
Because he still produced.
He was a great point blocker. I think one time he caught 100 passes, which is not really a stat that you really look at for tight ends. It's more of a wide receiver number 1 role type deal.
But in this generation of football, 75 is where you can start having the conversation of being productive. I mean, truthfully speaking, being, top level production at the tight end position. If you're catching 75 balls a year.
How many do you think they should catch a game? Let's do it mathematically that way.
4 to 5. 5, I think, puts you. I think 5 passes to a tight end puts you in the top.
That's 64
third.
to 80.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
There you go. So that's perfect. You catch one. Isn't that ridiculous? If you could survive 15 years in the league and you're able to catch 1 ball a quarter, you're going to be considered a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and at a position where catching passes is not always your primary responsibility.
I mean, you talk about all the positions in the NFL that have evolved over the years. That position has completely. That position used to be a lineman that would occasionally go out for a pass.
Right.
And now it's, he's a hybrid. We're going to put him here. He's our tight end.
Yeah.
They had an issue when they were trying to tag Jimmy Graham a bunch of years ago when they said,
they didn't know they couldn't determine whether he was a wide receiver or tight end because they used him split out so much.
Yeah, they lined him up out like 70% of the time. Is that technically a tight end? Well, it's called tight end on your roster. We're going to tag him as a tight end.
Well, that's why you look at, the generation of tight ends now. You look at O.J. Howard, he looks like a freak, right? He's such an animal. And then you look at Evan Ingram, but who was more productive last year? Evan Ingram blows O.J. Howard out of the water, and Evan Ingram is significantly smaller than O.J. Howard.
And a guy that probably has more talent than both of them in Cleveland. Just in the
Njoku?
Yeah, in the wasteland of quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not anymore. So your boy's there. But I mean, that being said, it doesn't matter really how much talent you have. You got to go to a team and a system that'll let you be successful. And Witten was there all the time, always productive. He played like 16 games in how many like straight seasons? Like 11 or 12. Like he just was never injured. But you talk about the fact that he's only had 4 1,000-yard seasons, never caught double-digit touchdowns, only has 100-catch season, no titles.
Yeah, but where do you toe the line as far as what makes the difference between a tight end and a wide receiver? Listen, I know the game has changed, right? I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But what becomes, the expectation? If I have a tight end that catches for 1,000 yards, I'm thrilled. Like, that to me, I am thrilled with that production.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm thrilled with that.
Well, you gotta think, if you're catching 4 passes a game, let's say you're catching 5. Tight ends don't really go out too far. So they get 50 yards. All right. To get 1,000, you need to have like 62 a game. 62 yards a game to get 1,000 yards receiving. That is amazing.
I am curious about something, and I don't have the stats on this, but I would like to get them. Since the league has transitioned away from the run game, right? I would assume that there's less red zone appearances. Teams are able to strike from outside the red zone more often.
Yes.
So I would assume there's less red zone appearances,
Okay.
right? So does that make his drop in production a bit more reasonable, because tight ends have been known for being a dominant target in the red zone?
Yeah.
So does the fact that NFL teams are, and I'm working off assumption here, that NFL teams are spending less time in the red zone, does that make his stats more acceptable to the Hall of Fame? This game's changing, man. I mean, it's just the facts.
I completely understand that, and I think the fact that 2 things. One, his production has been very consistent, where it wasn't like he was getting 11 and 12 touchdowns a game. In the last 5 years, he's gotten 7.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, a year I meant 11, 12 touchdowns a year, and he got like 7 or 5 or 8 over the last 4 or 5 years. It was always consistently 7, 5, 8, stuff like that. So that's number one. Number two, I don't think they're always gonna look at production as far as the numbers with guys like Witten. You look at a guy who was essentially an ambassador of the league, and could be an ambassador of the league still.
Yeah.
15 years, played every game, every year, for represented a franchise that is typically one that deals with troubled players. Like you talk about Witten and his image and everything and what he's been able to do off the field, and you think about he was a Dallas Cowboy.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't fit the mold of your typical Dallas Cowboy. Like, I don't want to speak negatively about that franchise in that respect, but he was
more like a Roger Staubach throwback.
Yeah, Jerry Jones really doesn't care about a lot of things that go on off the field. He finds acceptance with a lot of things.
Yes,
I guess is a good way to put that.
Yes. So I think what they're going to look at most is his longevity in the league, and his contributions to the Shield, I guess.
How is he a free agent, man?
I'm a beast, boy.
Okay,
are we done with the
we can stop this conversation.